That girl loved her meat, white, red, didn't matter, long as she had herself a big old platter. But one day, as she's about to take a bite, her two friends look on in such a fright. Please, 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 don't eat the meat. That right there is our family. She felt bad and sad, then decided to read. Yeah, V-E-G-A-N, yeah, yeah. Vegan. That's what she decided to be, and her friends were so happy. She went from wings to weeds, wings to weeds, yeah, wings to weeds, wings to weeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wings to Weeds. I'm your host, Christine Horn. And hello to all my new subscribers out there. Welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing and for watching. Today we're going to make a jerk portobello mushroom wrap. Sounds good, right? Today what you'll need is a portobello mushroom cap, a nice large one. You'll need some fresh spinach. This is about 2 handfuls of spinach. You'll need some shredded green cabbage, about a handful. This is about a half of a green bell pepper sliced, and a half of a yellow onion, or a sweet onion if you have it, like a Vidalia onion, that would be great. But just slice those up. Those are the ingredients you're going to need. This is really good because I used to love, let me give you a little background on me. My mom's mother is from Bermuda and her father is from Jamaica. So there's a lot of island floating around in my blood. So I grew up on oxtail, curry goat, jerk chicken, you name it. But since I'm not eating meat anymore, I still crave those good flavors and that spice, you know what I mean? So I found a way to incorporate that into my vegan eating. So a couple of seasonings. I'm not going to make my jerk seasoning from scratch today because I'm in a bit of a time crunch. But if you go to your local grocery store, you'll find several brands, so it just kind of depends on where you are. But you want one that I prefer, the dry rub kind, the kind that's in a shaker. If you're near a Kroger or Ralph's in your city, they have a Caribbean jerk seasoning. This one is not spicy. It's just really sweet. All my island people will be like, this ain't jerk. So this is kind of sweet. There's also another brand that Kroger sells, and you can find this online as well. The brand is called Ocho Rios. And this is their spicy jerk seasoning. It's pretty close to what I'm used to, a good kick. So between the two, that'll be nice. And I'll use a little garlic powder for extra seasoning and some extra virgin olive oil. So that's all you'll need. So meet me over here at the cutting board and I'll show you how to get your portobello mushroom started. Okay, so we have our portobello mushroom and we need to just clean this a little bit first. Now you never want to ever put your portobello mushroom under the faucet. What you want to do is get a paper towel and just get some water on it. Just lightly damp your paper towel. Very lightly. Mushrooms absorb water so easily. So all you're going to do is just wipe your mushroom off like this. You see how that's coming off? Just do that gently all the way around. And that'll be good enough for your mushroom. Now a lot of times if you flip your portobello over, you'll see that big kind of thing. Stump or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they're easy. You can just pull them off like that. This one's not so easy, so I'm gonna cut it off. It's not a huge deal, but I don't like to use it. And a lot of times you'll see this extra, all this inner meat. Personally, I just pull out that little bit right there. Now some people go as far as to scrape all this brown stuff out. That doesn't bother me at all. But if for some reason if it's like scary to you or it freaks you out, feel free to scrape it out. And if you wanted to, you just have to scrape it out like that. Really simple. Just like that. So I didn't do that super neat, but just for the sake of this video, you can see that, where is it? That's how it would look. You could just do it a little more if you wanted to be a little cleaner. But like I said, that doesn't bother me, so we're going to keep going. Now for this dish, we just want really simple slices. So get your knife, and you're just going to slice. Like a 1/2 inch or less. Because you want them to be kind of meaty. Portobello mushrooms, for a lot of vegetarians and vegans, this is our version of, I even hate to call it meat because I don't like to deal with that word, but this is pretty hearty for us. So that's it. We've got them sliced and ready to go. Now we're just going to move over to the stove. Okay, we're at the stove. We're going to start on about a medium-high heat. Get yourself a nice pan. And let's get our olive oil in there. Let's see. I have a tablespoon here. We'll start with 2 tablespoons. Let that heat up for a second. And we're going to add our mushrooms. Now at first, when you start sauteing your mushrooms, you may feel like, oh my gosh, they're sticking to the pan, or they're not cooking well. Just give it a second. You're going to cover them up, because mushrooms, they act like that, but it's just a fake out. After a few minutes, they start to absorb that oil, and all their inner moisture just comes out. So don't be alarmed. So we're going to do that, cover that up, and when we get some action, we'll start flipping them over. Okay, so you can see it looks like nothing's happening. They're starting to brown up a little bit. Zoom in here for you. So this is, I would just flip them over. This is usually the point where you're like, oh my gosh, they're sticking, nothing's happening. Just flip them over. They'll stick a little bit, but trust me, in a few minutes, the moisture will come out. And if you're really starting to panic, or maybe if you just didn't put enough oil in, maybe put another 1/2 tablespoon, teaspoon, or whatever, and go from there. Just cover it back up. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes. Woo! You got some action now. It's starting to get really moist. Just kind of stir them around. Just keep flipping them over. You want them to get brown on both sides. I'll tell you, sometimes I eat mushrooms. Sometimes I can eat a little too much of them, and when I don't have them, I'm like, wow, I didn't have any meat today. And I hate when I say that. But it's true, because they're so hearty. So I'm not adding my seasoning just yet, because mushrooms, they really absorb seasonings very quickly. I just want them to cook a little bit more before I do that. So let's give it maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. We'll cover them back up. Okay, it's been about 2 more minutes. And now they're nice and brown. They're getting pretty brown. So let's add our seasonings. Like I said, this is what I'm using because this is what I have here. I have my Kroger jerk seasoning, which is just kind of sweet. And it only has 85 milligrams of sodium, which is good. I have my garlic powder. Any brand will do, just for a little contrast. And then lastly, my Ocho Rios brand, the spicy jerk. I'm not too liberal with this because it all depends on how spicy you want it, because it has a nice kick to it. Stir that around. Cover your mouth because you might start coughing or sneezing, whatever happens to you when there's too much spice.
So since those are cooking, I like to share the pan. So I'm going to add my onions. I'm going to add a tad, just maybe a tablespoon more oil just for the onions. All right, look at that. The pan's getting pretty brown. I had to turn my smoke alarm on. My fan on because the smoke alarm went off. I'm going to add those green peppers to it as well. Now be sure to lower your heat to about a medium. Turn on your oven fan if you need to. Doesn't that look delicious? I could just eat that as is. Excuse me. Just kind of stir it around as you would a stir fry. There you go. Oh, lost one. I'm going to add a little more seasoning for my veggies. A little more garlic powder. Yummy. And some more of the sweet jerk. All right. Cover that for about 30 seconds to a minute, and it'll be time to make our wrap. All right, it's been about 30-40 seconds because I don't want my peppers to get soft. I still like them kind of crunchy, but my portobello mushrooms are cooked through enough. Now, however you like your mushrooms cooked, that's what you do. Cook them to the degree that you like them. I'm just going to throw all that on a plate. Now, when your pan has got some damage like this, that's nothing but some water and some soap. Don't even worry about it. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap up the sandwich, but the bread I'm going to use is a clay oven lavash bread. It's also known as a cracker bread. Look how thin it is. It has 120 calories per half. This is also very good to use for pizzas, like an alternative to pita bread or dough, a regular pizza crust. But when you put it in the oven, it gets hot, it gets really hard, like a cracker. So that's why they call it cracker bread. But I love to wrap stuff in this. Really mild flavor, and just good. So let's wrap it up. Okay, so we just get some foil or wax paper and lay your bread down. So I'm going to use this whole wrap for my sandwich. And I'm going to be pretty generous with my spinach. Use as much as you want. And you can use whatever else you have in the house. I love my cabbage raw. So I'm going to do that. That gives it a nice crunch. And remember our lovely meal we just cooked up? I'm going to use some of that. Just put it right on top. Oh, it's going to taste so good. Anytime you saute onions, I'm in love. And then jerk seasoning on top of it. Woo! Okay, let me not get too happy. This is getting pretty thick. Alright, so there's that. Now I like a little, I like to put a little sauce on there. Now I would recommend using a pico de gallo, some tomatoes, some onions. The Trader Joe's near me has a salsa especial medium, but this is in California because all their stuff is local. So yours might just have a pico de gallo or mild or medium salsa. I would use something like that because the sweetness of the tomatoes will give it a nice contrast to the spice of the mushrooms. So I'm just going to use, look how good that looks. You can make your own homemade salsa too. So if you made your own homemade, that's even better. But I'm just going to smear that right there. That looks delicious. Zoom in a little more for you. Oh, I can't. Sorry. So there you go. Now with this lavash bread, you just want to kind of squish it in the middle. And it's time to close it up. So I kind of start here just as you would a burrito. Fold it over. Where are you going, little mushroom? Fold it over. Then fold it over again. So kind of like a little pocket. And from here, just like you would a burrito, I like to put the foil on it. And you want to do it like that because you're going to slice here in the middle. And we don't want any foil in the middle after you cut it. Alright. My cutting board. Slice this baby down the middle. Now, and for the great reveal. Doesn't that look delicious? And so to end, I'm going to have some salsa with mine. So I'm just going to throw the salsa, maybe I have some flaxseed chips here. And that's my meal. So, does that not look good? Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to get into this sandwich right now. But yeah, totally have some salsa. I have some flaxseed vegetable tortilla chips, but use whatever you have at the house. And you can totally use whatever you want inside of these wraps. It's so much fun. And if you didn't want to cook the green peppers or onions, you can leave those raw. But it's so enjoyable. And if it's not enough sauce for you, you can start dipping this in the salsa as you bite it. So enjoy. Again, thank you so much for watching Wings to Weeds. I hope you enjoyed that recipe. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Did you try it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Let me know. Till next time, remember, you are special and you are loved. Peace.
That girl loved to meet. White bread didn't matter, long as she had herself a big old platter. But one day, as she's about to take a bite, her two friends look on in such a fright. Please, 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 don't eat the meat.